always focus on, oh, if you're gay, then you have to use condoms.
And why?
If you don't use condoms, then you're a bad person and you're a bad gay man, and you should definitely use condoms 100% of the time. And like, I get where they're coming from, but I feel like it's not practical 100% of the time. Even people that are practicing like using safe sex by using condoms, there are times where things just happen.
To see, I think I agree with you, but I'm going to challenge that thought, is that because we're defaulting as condoms as the go-to. So why do you even have to incorporate that into what you have as the sex that you want? Why does that even have to feature in the equation, the arithmetic of your sex? We almost feel, even if we're not going to use condoms, that we have to justify that choice. But why do we have to do that? Why do condoms? I mean, I'm really, without trying to be a zealot and without trying to be too radical to turn people off, my biggest motivation is to change that conversation and to allow people to say, actually, this is really uncomfortable for me to talk about condomless sex, because someone of my age, in their mid to late 30s, and probably you as well, that's all we've ever known is good sex. And so it's like, how do we get people to unlearn those? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with condoms, but we all know what they look like, we all know what they do, we all know what they prevent, we all know what their feelings are. So for me, it's like, we all know what condoms are, but I also think the choice not to use them is a valid one and should be supported as much as the choice and the encouragement to use. Well, obviously there are personal choices and personal benefits and potential risks of not using condoms, and community-wide, so from a public health and a personal health. But ultimately, there's no point in telling people to do something that they don't want to do. And I'm just going to be real, a lot of people don't want to wear condoms. And when straight people, I'm generalizing, but when straight people don't use a condom, they just had sex. They didn't have condomless or bareback sex. They just had sex. And then you might ask them, did you use a condom? And the guy might say, no, she was on the pill. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, you're not getting pregnant. Well, I guess kind of HIV is our pregnancy. It's the one thing we want to avoid. And it's like, why aren't we given the freedom and the agency to have that conversation?
Well, I think I agree with you like 100%, but I think the reason why that is because of the stigma that surrounds the type of sex that we have.
Bum sex.
Yeah. Bum sex, basically, and just kind of the idea of us having sex that is like considered the same as the sex that straight people are having. It's like, it's mind blowing. It's like, and I think we're changing narratives in the sense of we're actually starting to see that people actually have relationships and have lives and have a future and have marriages and stuff. And I think, because it's coming, I don't know, I feel like we've always, for like the last maybe 50 years, we've kind of had this struggle. But it seems like within the last 15 or so that we're actually really pushing this idea of family and love and like care and intimacy.
And I think there's something about gay men, and I'm speaking as a gay man, because there's something about inherent in us about, I think, that when you discover your sexuality in your puberty, ergo your homosexuality and your wrongness and your otherness, there's something that becomes ingrained in you and the way you interact with the world around you and the people you interact with in an intimate way that still has some of that wrongness and risk involved. And I think HIV was almost this demon that we almost fed into, because it's almost kind of supported those notions that we're not right and worthy and we deserve.
Exactly.
So there's this really odd relationship gay men have with HIV, and yeah, I guess condomless sex became fetishized, but now I can actually actively see now, even my own, like, I would never have had condomless sex in my 20s, in like the mid noughties. I would never have, and I thought people who did were horrible, wrong, twisted people. That was naivety and that was brainwashing, to be honest. And actually, now that we know so much about treatment and U equals U, it's like I can actively see now, as someone who's almost 40, the unfetishizing of bareback sex. And we started to call it condomless sex, because actually there's no risk involved there. You're not going to lose your life if you take the adequate precautions above and beyond a condom. So this whole, it's a fetish for people who are twisted, and, why would you want to put yourself at risk? And it's actually, that's such an outdated opinion. And it's like, really, I think that people who have hold of that need to undo their argument a little bit and come back with a slightly more sophisticated formula for what they're proposing as a defense of only using condoms. I don't know.
Personally, I would like for less, I don't want to say debate, but just less aggression around using condoms. I think if someone would like to use condoms or not like to use condoms, then it's their own personal choice. And like Greg said, it's a person-to-person basis and situation-to-situation basis. You can't just, I don't know, I just feel like this whole idea that's forced on every gay man to always use condoms 10,000% of the time is just not realistic. So I think, like Greg said also, there are alternatives to using condoms, and I feel like we should explore or at least learn about all the different things that are available to us before we make an opinion choice. Because what happens is that a lot of people that are against PrEP, they're against it because they don't trust it, or they're against it because condoms are available. And then that's it. They actually don't know how PrEP works or how they're supposed to take it or where they can get it from. They're just against it from the get-go. And I think a lot of education needs to be there needs to be a lot more education around all of the things that we have.
But the nuance of condomless sex, we just say condom is good, no condom is bad. But the nuance is most other STIs can be contracted from oral sex. For me, make everything available and just encourage everyone who's having sex regularly or changes their partner often.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, make everything available. Access to services need to be easy and in a model that is convenient for people. And I just think, chuck all the tools in, let people choose what they want. Don't judge them for not choosing what you would want them to use or the cheapest tool, and just encourage everyone to go for a full screen every quarter.